Outer Frontier. Book 2. The Frontier Origin. Chapter 8. The Guardians. 250 years had passed since Commander Nathan Hale crossed the quiet stars. The names had changed. The ships had changed. The stations had grown into cities. Yet the war remained the same. Every day, somewhere along the outer defensive front, another alarm sounded. Another convoy departed. Another damaged cruiser limped home. Another generation quietly accepted its place in a conflict older than their grandparents. The front endured. Lieutenant Jonathan Hale had never known peace. He had been born aboard a frontier station. His earliest memories were not of playgrounds, but of departure ceremonies. Convoys leaving, families waving, maintenance crews working through the night, ships returning with fresh scars etched into their hulls. To him, this was simply how life worked. During his first assignment at Bastion 9, Hayes often visited the station's oldest observation gallery. There, overlooking one of the immense repair docks, stood Captain Eleanor Ward, one of the last officers who had personally known veterans of the first expedition. Her hair had turned silver. Her posture remained perfectly straight. Hayes stopped beside her. "Captain, yes. Do you think people here understand what this war really is?" Eleanor looked through the transparent alloy window. "Look at that ship." Hayes followed her gaze. Its hull carried dozens of replacement plates. Entire weapon mounts had been rebuilt from different alloys. Nothing matched. Everything functioned. Eleanor nodded. That is humanity. Years passed. Jonathan Hayes became a commander, then a commodore, then an admiral. Each promotion arrived not through ambition, but because someone older had fallen. The outer defensive front became a civilization unto itself. Children attended school inside rotating habitat rings. Universities specialized in frontier engineering. Hospitals treated patients from hundreds of systems. Factories never stopped. Shipyards glowed continuously beneath artificial daylight. Entire generations lived their lives without ever seeing Earth. The frontier was no longer merely a collection of military installations. It had become home. Cities grew around shipyards. Families settled permanently. Children were born who knew the stars beyond the line only from maps. They had inherited the stories of Earth, but they had also inherited something else: the memory of the line. One afternoon, Admiral Hayes visited a school on Bastion 9. The children were studying the second expedition. A projection displayed its final route across the classroom. A young student raised his hand. Was this before the line? Yes. Before Bastion 9? Yes. The child looked confused. Then where did people live? The teacher smiled. On Earth and many other worlds. Another student raised her hand. Did everyone know about the war? The teacher hesitated. Hayes stepped forward. No. Why not? Hayes looked toward the projection. Because sometimes knowing about a danger doesn't mean you're ready to face it. The children remained silent. A small voice asked, Does Earth know about us? Hayes smiled faintly. Yes. Do they know what we do? Some do. Then why don't they come? Hayes looked at the children for several seconds. Because you're already doing what needs to be done. Years continued to pass. The war remained beyond the public maps. But inside the frontier, it shaped everything. Every school had emergency shelters. Every hospital maintained military trauma units. Every major city maintained evacuation routes. Every civilian convoy traveled under escort. The people of the frontier had learned something their ancestors never intended to teach them. Peace was not always something you found. Sometimes, someone had to guard it. Jonathan Hayes eventually became Fleet Marshal. His office overlooked the largest shipyard ever built by human hands. From his window, thousands of workers moved beneath artificial daylight. New cruisers emerged from assembly frames. Older vessels disappeared inside repair docks. One evening, Hayes walked alone through the Hall of Remembrance. Thousands upon thousands of names covered the walls. Engineers, doctors, pilots, cargo crews, scientists, Marines. None listed their victories, only their service. A young officer joined him. "Sir," Hayes stopped. "Do you think we'll ever win?" The Fleet Marshal looked toward the immense observation window. Beyond it, Bastion 9 shone like an artificial star. Countless ships prepared to depart once more. He spoke quietly. "I don't know." The young officer lowered his head. Hayes continued, "But I know why we're here." He pointed beyond the station, beyond the frontier, beyond the darkness. Every child growing up in peace, every civilization discovering the stars, every family that never hears a frontier alarm. They are our victory. The officer followed his gaze. For the first time, he understood. Decades passed. Contact with the Galactic Union became official. Trade flourished. Scientific exchanges multiplied. Embassies opened. Students crossed the stars. Artists traveled between civilizations. Humanity eventually became a recognized member of the Galactic Union. To the rest of the galaxy, the outer frontier remained distant. A remote region of human space. A complicated border. A place where humanity maintained an unusually large military presence. Questions were occasionally asked. Human diplomats answered carefully. The war itself remained largely absent from public discussion. Not because humanity distrusted its neighbors, but because the line still held. And as long as it held, the rest of the galaxy remained at peace. Meanwhile, beyond every public star chart, convoys continued leaving Bastion 9. Memorial walls continued growing. New names were carved into polished stone. The war never paused. It simply remained invisible. Jonathan Hayes had spent his entire life standing watch. He had watched stations become cities, children become soldiers, soldiers become teachers, and teachers become grandparents. The frontier had become something Nathan Hale could never have imagined. Not an outpost, not an army, a civilization built around one responsibility. Someone had to remain awake. Someone had to watch the darkness, so others could sleep. Then, one evening, long-range sensors detected an approaching fleet. Not hostile, not unknown. Ships of immaculate white and silver. Elegant, perfectly aligned, unscarred. They crossed the frontier with the confidence of a civilization that had never known total war. Fleet Marshal Hayes watched them appear on the tactical display. An aide approached. "Sir," Hayes looked at the display there, requesting clarification regarding the Kepler system. Hayes allowed himself the faintest smile. After centuries of silence, someone had finally begun looking beyond the maps. "So, they finally found us." The aide waited. What should we send? Hayes looked once more toward the endless darkness beyond the frontier, then toward the approaching fleet. History had come full circle. Transmit the standard diplomatic response. The aide nodded. And the personal message. Hayes smiled with the quiet weariness of a man who had spent his entire life standing watch. Yes, the personal message. Moments later, a transmission left Bastion 9. Simple, polite, almost absurdly understated. I'd really appreciate it if you could postpone the war for a few days. The words crossed the silence between two civilizations. One believed a border dispute was about to begin. The other had already been fighting the real war for nearly 3 centuries.